Baroness Cox, if I could start with you. You've just come back from Kachin. What did you see?
We saw there the Burmese army attacking local civilians. There are 156 battalions of Burmese army in that one state alone, in Kachin state, and they're attacking civilians, they're bombing civilians, and they're committing atrocities, and 75,000 Kachin people have had to flee their homes to live as internally displaced people.
We have some pictures, actually, of your visit. Just tell us a little bit more about the state that people are living in.
Well, it's heartbreak land, it's terror. Anyone who's displaced obviously has all the agony of being displaced from home and family. The camps, they do the best they can, but they're overcrowded, there are not enough facilities, and they are terrified to return home because of the constant perpetration of atrocities on their people by Burmese army soldiers.
Burmese army soldiers, you mentioned, is this things like rape as a weapon?
Yes, rape. I mean, we had just one story in one village of a girl was abducted. The Burmese army was in sight of the village. They were on the top of the hill. They tied the girl to the post. She was laughed at, she was taunted, she was taken away for repeated, presumably, rapes, and eventually disappeared. The villagers could see all that happening. Agony.
Nur al-Islam, thank you for being with us. Your people are considered by some to be the most persecuted on the planet. What is daily life like now in Rakhine State?
Yeah, actually, this is after the deadly violence in the last June and October. About 140,000 people displaced. And they have virtually introduced the new apartheid policy regarding our people, because the Rohingya displacement camps were kept away from the cities, away from the Rakhine people, and imposing many restrictions for their movement. And actually the children has no access to education, even madrasa education as well. And people are, the humanitarian aids were blocked by the state, the governments and the security forces, and to reach the Rohingya villages and the displacement camps and areas. So there's people who are now dying of starvations and the diseases and the hunger. And on the other hand, and the Nasaka border security forces, their harassment is a daily phenomenon all over Rakhine. Even yesterday, there are the Rakhine Buddhists. They have staged demonstration in Sitwe, Chokyu, and other cities, demanding the expulsion of the Rohingya people. And there was an arson attack in Mongdo area, and the burning 6 villages by the Rakhine Buddhists. And in fact, we don't have any security of life in Arakan.
I want to talk about the sanctions with both of you in a moment, but firstly, just referring to Jonah Fisher, who was just talking to us from Rangoon, this historic moment, the National League for Democracy holding their conference. How do you feel about Aung San Suu Kyi, who has come out and said specifically, look, I'm not going to take sides?
Actually, we had a high expectation on her. Our people supported her as well. But she was surprisingly silent to the deadly violence, what happened in Arakan. And then she used to say that she wants to remain as neutral. How, in a situation of injustice, how can one remain neutral? This is as if he's siding with the oppressors.
Baroness Cox, you're nodding. Is this felt in Kachin as well?
Yes, it's felt, I think, by a lot of the ethnic national leaders. And there's a lot of concern that as the president tours Europe, his lovely sort of propaganda that everything is fine is going to increase investment and maybe raise the issue of the lifting of sanctions. Now, everyone is very worried about that. One of the leaders of the ethnic nationals said when the lights went on in Rangoon, all the world went to Rangoon, nobody stops to see us in the darkness. The voices of those in the darkness must be heard.
So they genuinely think this issue is going to be buried because the international community only wants to see the good things that are happening.
They want to see the good things, and they want trade, and they want to expand trade, but of course that trade often exploits the resources of the ethnic nationals. The deals are made between the Burmese government, the ethnic nationals, the Shan, the Kachin, the other ethnic national groups. They control 40% of the land where the resources are. That's where they live, but they're being driven off their land with no compensation. as IDPs, and they're really worried that new dams will be built, new exploitation take place, and they will suffer.
Presumably it's not just their land being taken off them, it's the environmental degradation of their land as well.
It's the destruction of the water supplies, the contamination of the water, the building of pipelines, and the confiscation of a lot of their resources, such as timber, teak, and land.
So I want to ask you both what you think should happen then in terms of international sanctions. Baroness Cox.
Well, certainly they're suspended at the moment. They're not lifted by Europe. They certainly should not be lifted. Well, exactly.
I mean, we just had Thein Sein saying this week, once and for all, we are the poorest country in the world, please lift sanctions.
My passionate requirement in response to that is look at the reality of what's happening to 40%, the ethnic national population of Burma, and do not lift those sanctions until there is peace, justice, equality, freedom for all the peoples of Burma, plus the recognition of citizenship status for the Rohingya people.
Do you agree? I mean, what is your fear about the lifting of sanctions?
Actually, as I said, we don't have any domestic protection, national protection. In the absence of national protection, this is responsibility lies with the international community to protect our people, and the people, the Kachin people as well. And then this is by this time, actually, the most important, you should not lift it's a very premature to lift the sanction and to suspend the sanction. We should have a leverage in hand, actually. And after the lifting of sanction by the European countries, and and practically we see the persecution increase against our people.
What more should Bangladesh be doing?
The Bangladesh also, this is also, we are not, when this violence started, our people tried to take shelter in Bangladesh, but Bangladesh returned all those people. Be in this position, actually, what happened, they have nowhere to go. And then people become more desperate to take dangerous voyages across the seas to the Southeast Asian countries, and practically many people drawn, it's about 1,000 people, even conveniently we can say, they are drawn in the sea or disappeared, and that many people they end up in jails and concentration camps in countries in the region. In Thailand, we have about 1,800 people, and in Sri Lanka, even in February, 3rd February, about some people were rescued, whereas 89 people were dropped from their dead body, dropped from the sea.
Our correspondent in Bangkok just told us actually overnight that 3 boatloads a day are leaving from Rakhine,
this big
and many
position
are being
international community should do. This is the only hope.